Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, I think that we're a bit loud. Let's see if we can turn this down a little bit. I don't know why that's on. Auto. Testing 1 2 3. 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 And we're back. Okay, that should be a lot better. Welcome back to all those listening. It is episode 54. Today I want to start off by saying, well, I got a lot to say, I feel like, and nothing's written down necessarily. I don't have a paper in front of me or something like of interest like I had yesterday. But I do have my thoughts in my mind. Immediately, I'm a big fan of how I can hear the TV in the background because the boys are watching YouTube, and it doesn't seem to be being picked up at all by my microphone, which is fantastic. I have work at 4 p.m. today, and currently it is 2:40 p.m., so let's write down a stop time of 3:40 p.m. somewhere so I know when to stop. All right. So here we are. I just ate Bojangles. Also, it's snowing today. Snowing quite a bit. I think it's going to keep on snowing. Something that really needs to change in my life is lack of bicycle. I have this bike, but the cassette is stripped, and I need to replace the cassette and the chain, which is essentially the entirety of the drivetrain. And sadly, I don't have the money for it right now. I actually just got my credit card hacked, stolen, I guess, and they spent like $500, which seriously blows. I'm hoping that maybe I get payday tomorrow. Yeah, but I mean, what is there to talk about today? Uh, I feeling good about my videos and such. I'm me like always. So, here we go for another hour. This one feels like it's going to take a while. I feel like yesterday was kind of a bailout that I had that page to talk about because I reread it like 4 times, I think, throughout the episode. And throughout that time, it was like whenever I sort of lost train of thought or whatever, I could just read that doc. You know what I do have, and I could start printing out, is I have coming up is going to be my 1 year anniversary of this my personal diary that I've kept. So maybe I could start reading that. I think that might be a good idea. Um, I think sometimes it's crazy to think about and to realize how much of a life someone can live. It's like when you meet somebody new and you see their face and you shake their hand, you have really no idea all the things that they've seen and said. Because of that, it's very valuable, I believe, to take everyone for, I guess, far above face value. It's kind of like an assumed positive or like an assumed, I don't know, like if this is a logical a logical thing, then you'd want to think of it in terms of like sorting at a factory. Um, if you're getting goods coming down a conveyor belt, it's like you want to make sure that they are like say you're selling Coca-Cola and the company you work for says you work for Coca-Cola and you work in a manufacturing plant and you work at a part of the conveyor belt where the bottles are already wrapped, capped, filled, and ready. And where you are stationed, the conveyor belt splits into 2. And on one side of the conveyor belt goes the Coke bottles that are ready for distribution and selling because they have nothing wrong with them, no errors, everything's perfect. And then on the left is the Coke bottles where the label is pretty crooked, or the color isn't quite right, or the cap is maybe didn't get put on right. You know what I'm saying? It's your job, right? Like if say you for some reason have an emergency and you have to go. You want to put that lever to the side of the deficit. You'd rather like waste a bunch of good cans than have just one can that has a deficit slip through the cracks and go out to someone to purchase. So when you're going through your life, it's almost like in a way you're at the edge of a conveyor belt and you're seeing people. People are coming and they're splitting down either path. If you had to leave the lever on one side, it should be the side of this person's much more amazing than I can ever understand, rather than I'm not interested in this person. That should always be the side that everyone goes on. You know, matter of fact, you can man that station and have the lever left, you know? Oh. I just ate. So I'm thinking a lot about food, and I'm thinking a lot about my stomach. I'm getting pretty fat. And, like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I know that it's easy to ignore it, and hence I have been, or else it wouldn't have gotten to this point. But I think my stomach fat sort of began when I stopped smoking weed. I think that was like when you change something drastic like this in your life, right? There's always going to be rippling effects. And I think I've noticed a rippling effect of not smoking weed anymore in the form as eating a lot of food and it not just passing through my body. And I guess eating a lot of food, that term, it depends on like whether you mean literally, like quantitatively, or just what it feels like. Yesterday, we read a psychological analysis of me from 4 years ago, and it said a lot, but at one point, it's mentioned that my parents mentioned that when I was young, it seems that I could sit and do a Lego for forever, right? So I read that, and I read that it was interesting because whenever I sat down and did Legos, it felt really fast. Like Legos compared to everything else flew by in my mind, right? So it's like, what do we really mean when we say like time? Like, how are we really measuring this? Like, what's the real unit? How can we be on the same page? And I just simply put, I don't think that we can, but I think the pursuit of being on the same page is what's valuable here. So why did I start talking about this? I can't quite remember. But, that I think I feel like sometimes I'm constantly in this state of like self-evaluation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I saw online the other week something about how being always changing or setting your goals way bigger than you can ever accomplish, or believing in things that I don't know how to explain it. It's healthy, or something like that. Like there's something about always striving for better and always believing there is better for you that is good, I think. But I don't know. I think it depends on how you do it. Here's what I'd like to talk about today for a little bit. Yesterday, through a rant, I had a thought path branch happen. I think I did actually verbally mention it briefly, but I didn't actually dive into it. And let's see what happens when I try to just a little bit today. I'd like to dive into siblings, children and the oldest sibling versus the younger siblings. I'm the oldest of three brothers. I am my dad's first son. And I am objectively having a harder time in life. I'm not in school still. I can't seem to get a grip on academics, even though I'm grateful enough to have parents who will pay for me to go to school. I can't seem to be in school. I struggled a lot with weed, as I mentioned before, and alcohol and nicotine a long time ago, and just things in general that are really exciting. I struggle with the usage of them in moderation. I've always had a tricky time with my impulse control. Impulse control is the perfect thing to sum up what I'm kind of saying here. So, pardon me. So when I have like two examples in my life that I think to and that bring me to say this sort of thing. I have my younger brothers, both of which are objectively doing much better than I am. One is currently in a fantastic university in the heart of New York City, living in the same building as his now girlfriend of 1 year. He seems to be seriously doing fantastic. And then I have my youngest brother who just got his license. All the girls love him. His GPA is through the roof. He's set to be someone with a good chance to get into a fantastic college here in North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I also have my roommate, Sam, whom is not the oldest. I don't think. I think he's got an older brother. I'm going to ask him. Sam! You have an older brother? What? You have an older sibling? What? Older siblings? No. You're the oldest? Yeah. Damn, I was wrong. Okay, well that completely shatters my entire thought process. I've known this guy. Oh my god, I've known this guy for 3 years now, and I didn't know that he didn't have older siblings. I'd like to chalk that up to just like that's how guys are friends, you know? Like that's dude friendship. Like we don't even have like any pictures together, but we do have pictures together, and I just feel embarrassed right now. I feel guilty that I didn't know that. I don't like that at all. But, you know, it is what it is. I guess I'll leave it at that. It is what it is. So it's snowing pretty hard. Last time it snowed half this much, I left work early. And that is just a fact, you know, not saying anything by it, I don't mean anything by bringing that up. You know, yes, I could technically get to leave work early today, but you know, I could also not get to leave work early today. There's a lot of things that could happen as a direct result of working. You know what really helps me talk and helps the time pass? Fiddling with this Rubik's Cube seems to be helping me just speak. And isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how when you seemingly multitask, right? You do two things at once. You all of a sudden have an easier time doing both things. Like I guess it's for me. Maybe it's hard to focus on what I'm saying. It's hard to really understand what I'm doing, and to give my all to one activity is really stressful because I'm a very give your all guy, right? If you listen to yesterday's episode, you might remember certain words and such from the paper that I read. I mean, I could read it again, but yeah, I see it. It's right there. But I don't know. I feel like we should move on. I feel like we should continue on with the episodes. Maybe I can come back to it like a lot of episodes later. But this is a fantastic idea. I have, so about a year ago today, I went through a really bad break. I broke up with, me and a partner broke up, and it really sucked because I really liked them. But, you know, the truth is, afterwards, I was like, I have to do something. So I started keeping a diary. I started writing to myself every day. And, um, yeah, I started writing to myself every day. And, you know, relationships are funny because I think the way that I am and just the way that I think it has to go is I have to give my absolute everything to a relationship. Um, and that's just simply put very problematic. It's very problematic because I don't think it's commonplace. I think a lot of people are like a little bit over here, a little bit over there when it comes to like love, and they kind of just take it slow and take it easy, and they just they want to like take time to process and not process over time, if you get what I'm saying. But for me, it's like once I'm in, it's like all of a sudden I'm sprinting, and mid sprint I'm just like chanting to myself, never stop sprinting, never stop sprinting, never stop sprinting. But I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to that analogy because I look back on this past relationship, this failed relationship a year ago. It was only 4 months, and it's been a year since. And I honestly think like next time, like when I get the chance, when someone else opens up to me and I'm in, however it happens, whether like it's something I really chased after, whether it just sort of falls in my lap, whether it's just whatever the circumstances, whenever someone else sort of like, even just a little bit, even I think for just a little bit, they're putting themselves on the line. I have to remember, first of all, that others are not vulnerable in the same ways that I am. I think the way that loving is vulnerability. To be vulnerable to someone is to love them. And sometimes I think being vulnerable coming from me to others can sort of look like confidence. Like, I think it might be confusing for a girl to be with me because while I'm like really breaking down my walls and changing as a person and really like trying to be vulnerable and be honest and be and love, right? It might come across to the other person that I'm cold, and that I don't care, and that I'm not involved. When the opposite is the case, it's kind of like this fallacy where when I love someone so much, I envision them. I think I'm super empathetic, and I put myself in their shoes constantly, so much. And when I do this, and I'm starting to get a bit of not deja vu, but I'm starting to really remember because I've given this speech many times to people, just trying to find something out, feel something, right? But I've realized that that's not what I need to be doing. I need to be telling it to this camera right here. So I'm glad that I finally landed back on this speech because I seriously, I've told it so many times, but never on a camera. I don't think. We are coming up also on the 1 year anniversary of my first video on YouTube. So there's been a lot of videos and a lot of me yapping. So I very well may have gone through this, but I've grown to have now a sense of comfort on air. So it very well may be that if I'm about to do a much better job of it now than I did the first go around or the first couple times around. So when you put yourself in someone else's shoes, which is something everyone should do, and it's an important skill to have. It's an important skill to have. You must understand that you are now trying to assume another's thoughts. Don't get me wrong, humankind has done very many great things. I have this mic, this laptop, this camera in front of me that I'm utilizing. It's so easy to use for a guy like me, but never in 100 lifetimes could I ever come close to the raw materials, the know-how, the circuitry to build even a quarter of just one of these devices. We as a species own the world. We are the apex predator. The only threat to us now is ourselves. And because of that, I have to just say how amazing it is to be a human being. Now, to get back on track, as I've just said, there's lots collectively as a species we understand. But make no mistake, we do not understand, at least in the same way we understand mathematics, the human mind. The brain named itself, and the brain is the most complex thing I believe I will ever encounter throughout the entirety of my life. And my life is my brain. The reason I say these words and look into this camera is because I have a brain. But once again, I cannot stress this enough. The brain is not understood. So for you to be in a moment of empathy, for you to be, diverting from your own routine and path of caring for yourself on a day-to-day basis and looking onto someone else and thinking, I wonder what they're thinking. You have to realize that no matter how much thought you give it, and no matter how hard you try, you will never, ever know if you are right. Ever. Ever. So, when I hear these words, I don't know about you, but when I hear these words spoken by myself, sometimes I start to go into a panic, right? It's the whole infinity endeavor. It's like, if I can never know, then how am I ever going to do any? Like, if there's no answer, then what are we doing? And it all starts to get a little bit too much and existential and scary. But, and you're going to have to do this on your own, I can't necessarily find your own path. But with this simple fact as a foundation, you can begin to make it okay using your values. I'm 21 years old, so my values are very much under construction and work in progress. At a glance, I would say my values are to be myself, and to treat others with kindness. So if I kind of throw those two things at this problem of my lack of an ability to ever understand what someone else is thinking, no matter what they tell me, no matter how close I am, no matter what I do, no matter how much effort I put in, as long as I work hard to be myself and I work hard to be kind, I don't know, I'm not going to say I will succeed, but like, I will be living. So, I really am hopeful, and I really am excited, and I think I really am ready to be back in the saddle. I know that when you're outside of a relationship, it's like you look into what a potential relationship might be, and you're just like so totally like in awe. It looks like sunshine and rainbows, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want that for me so bad. I want that for me so bad. And I know once you get into it, it can look like the other way on the outside, right? Looking out the window the other way, it can look like sunshine and rainbows. Like, I just wish I was single. I could do whatever I want. But the reason people always say you should wait until, I don't know, the reason high school sweethearts are becoming so rare, I think, and this generation keeps saying that they want to just work on themselves, is truly because it is starting to become shared knowledge that the more experience you have, the more armor and ammo you have against the big monster that is the grass is green on the other side. You know? Because I think that it's always going to seem that way. I think that a part of you is always going to be like, yo, it'd be so dope if I could just leave the situation, leave and just go like do whatever, like do what I used to do before I was in the situation. You know, what happened to that? I miss that. But never forgetting, and this is why falling in love is so important, because when you fall in love, you need to be present in the moment, and you need to understand that the moment that is happening right now is the moment that you're going to have to think back on when you really don't feel like this is for you. When you really don't feel like you're happy. When you really don't feel like you're seen, you know? When you really don't feel like your needs are being met. All of those things, you need to, well, you thought them, you know, so you can keep thinking them, and, you know, you might say them out loud, sure, you might, whatever. But at the end of the day, when you've said what you've said and you've done what you've done, and it's just you in the mirror with your thoughts, and you open your mouth to say them to you, you need to first say, hey, do you remember when I met this girl? Do you remember the way that her hair flowed in the wind? Do you remember the way that she smiled at you and her laugh? And do you remember those things that she said and you thought she was so interesting and at the same time so funny? Oh, you don't? Or you do? Well, if you don't, you're lying to yourself. That's what you want to say to yourself. You want to say, oh, you don't remember? That's not true. You remember because it happened. And you love this girl. I think it is the same inner mechanisms of the mind that result in a man becoming schizophrenic, that also result in the man's ability to build a family and protect a family and be disciplined and be good. There are those very same mental exercises of self-proof, self-convincing, and self, like, actualization. I mean, that was kind of a big word. I don't really know. Like, I just kind of threw that one in. But yeah, we can divert off this topic. What should I say now? What should I say now? What should I say? What should I say? So yeah. Yeah, basically I believe that my future is very bright. And that's an important belief. I've always believed that. I think that I've always thought my future is bright. I know I've never really like subscribed to the idea that like I'm headed down the wrong path. Let's talk about Instagram. I kind of have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to hold it though. I'm just going to hold it. So on Instagram, right, if you're following me here, I post. And I post once a day. And last night, I was up very, very late. And I was just kind of clicked on my Instagram, clicked on my profile. And I started watching my own videos from the bottom up. I try not to do that, ever. And when I do it, I often feel like very intense emotions, very like strong feelings. And because of that reaction that I know I usually get, I I I really don't do it. And going forward, I really plan on not doing it ever, because it's not like, who am I to like make myself feel those feelings. Um but since I did it, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it felt to go back and watch me um 100 days ago. 100 plus days ago. It felt really like I just picked my nose and I was going to eat it. Here's a confession. I pick my nose and I eat it. I've always done that. I've always done it, and I do it all the time, and I don't think it's gross. I also don't brush my teeth, like, ever. When I stopped smoking weed a year and a half ago, after like 3 months, my gums felt like they were rotting in the inside of my mouth, and I was dying. But I went to the dentist, and now they're all better, and now it's back to normal. I don't brush at all. I want to change that. I want to start brushing. But the nose picking thing, I have absolutely no desire or urge to change that whatsoever. It's just like something that I do. It started when I was in, I think, kindergarten. I remember hiding it. I think, or like preschool. I remember hiding it in preschool. I feel like I remember doing it and hiding it in preschool. And it's like, so what? So what? I never Googled it or anything, but I can't imagine it's like bad for you. I also bite my nails. So I do all three of those things. And I don't think about them. I have bigger problems in my life. You know what I'm saying? It's this junk. It's the junk food and the lack of exercise. And the lack of good food, obviously. So, that's like a hand-to-hand thing. Those are my problems in life. And my financial independence and my education. Those things are, and of course, love. Love. If you're a listener, if you know me and you listen and yada, 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 your boy is a sucker for love. Love this, love that, love everything, everywhere, all the time. I have a bottle of 1800 tequila in my room. I wonder will this nail go through? Yeah, it will. I wonder. I'm putting a nail on my table right now. Yeah, I don't want to do that. And I bought the bottle when someone underage wanted me to get them liquor from the ABC store. I'm of course of age, and I said of course because I wanted someone to do that for me when I was underage. And I don't drink anymore, but I thought to myself, hey, if I'm going to be going to the ABC store for this reason, why don't I get myself a cool looking bottle? A cool looking bottle as sort of like a celebratory figure of now I don't drink, right? And I did. I found this cool bottle. It's 1800 tequila. It's like trapezoidal shaped. And it's up on a shelf right now. And I love it so much, and I totally want more. I want like vodka and like all the kinds of liquors and the coolest glass bottles. And I like how the 1800, I like how it's sealed. My favorite part about it is that it's unopened and completely full. I think like a cool bar in my room filled with liquor where like all the bottles are full is like the dopest thing ever, And like, hey, if someone's like, if we're, I'd let people open them and drink them, but they're not for me. They're just cool for me. They are for me. Of course they're for me, but like not drinking them. I love it. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, so, I mean, what is there to say? What is there to say? Probably things. Probably not things. Probably in the middle of things. I have to go to the bathroom really bad. I'm considering pausing the episode just very briefly. Or also, I could get up right now and go and come back while the episode's on and have it count towards the hour. I've gone to the bathroom, I think, before in previous episodes. And I think I did cut that out of the main cut. So I could do that again. And I may. But also, I only have, 26 minutes left, 25 minutes left until this episode's over, so maybe I won't. I gotta start thinking of stuff to fill the space. I mean, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? Let's talk about girl. Let's just like what's the most exciting thing? Let's talk about exciting things. Girls. There is a particular girl right now in my immediate life that I do think we looked at each other a little bit longer than we usually do the other day. And, I kind of got that feeling in my stomach, my chest, those, butterflies. And immediately, when I think about it, I always, go towards the, oh, she's way too young. And, oh, she's, from such a different background. And, oh, she's, this and this and that and that. But, bro, none of those things matter. None of those things matter. So then tell me this. Because a couple weeks ago, a week ago, I was talking about this one girl that I really liked. And I don't think I ever mentioned it, but she was also the same age, young. I think 18. And with her, I was consciously trying to I remember I brought up this Instagram reel that I watched where this guy was saying real play shit, and he gave some advice. He's this awesome character he does where he's gives really good advice to dudes about women, and something he said was if you like a girl, make sure you're not treating her like your friend. If you like her, treat her like you like her. I know this can be difficult, but consciously making the choice to treat the girl like you have a crush on her will go miles. Real player shit. And I was like, that's so true, bro. That's so true. You have to start acting like how you feel, or else nothing, if you treat it like all your friends, I know you like your friends, but you don't want to settle down and have kids with them. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking at your friends like they have the potential to be your lifelong partner. So why would you got to make that conscious flip. And so because of that, with this other girl, I was doing that. And then I came to find out she definitely has a boyfriend. So I've laid off. So now here we are with this girl. I know she doesn't have a boyfriend, or at least I'm 90% sure. You never know. And I'm sure enough to the point of which I can say that it is not a problem, right? Not a problem. And I actually don't know. I don't know for a fact the girl at the front has a boyfriend, but her phone rang when I was near it, and it was a guy's name. It was a guy, and it had biting lip emoji. So, I was yeah, that's definitely not a homie. There's just no way, right? And even if it is yeah, I don't know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I just know that it's not for me to impede on. I have done that. I have impeded before, and I think it ended really poorly. But I'm not saying, truthfully put, I'm not saying I wouldn't impede again on someone else if I really liked a girl and she was seeing a guy. I'm not gonna lie, I would try and convince her that I'm better because I believe that I was. You know, I do believe that, like, it's like a LeBron James mentality. You have to believe this. You have to think that you're the best. It's nothing. It's no hate towards any of the competition. It's just a pure love for the game. And goddamn it, I'm a player. Not like a negative connotation player, but like I play the damn game. So like, hey, listen, like, bro, dude, you don't got shit on me. Like when I am up in the club, like no guy, you know, something's wrong. If like I don't care if he's taller, better looking, stronger, and very smooth with his words, right? It doesn't matter. If I'm starting to think like, oh, you know, this guy, like the girls probably like him more, and like he's just got it going better with the ladies. If I ever have that thought, then I know something is messed up, and I need to go home, take a breather, work on my recovery, and get back out there and be the guy that thinks that he is the absolute best, because that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what it's all about. You understand? Up until the very point where you have a girlfriend, you are the best. Immediately when you have a girlfriend, I think the whole point of a girlfriend is to let you know that you ain't shit. Seriously, that's like the value in it. The whole reason for you to have a partner, the whole reason for you to be in love is so that you get checked. You get put in your place. Hey, bro, you ain't all that. XOXO, your lover. That's the whole point. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So Shotty got a boyfriend. So now there's this girl, the other girl. And she's cute. If I'm being honest, kind of immature. I'm not going to lie to you. Kind of immature. But that's just nature. By nature. Yeah, but I'm not too, I don't know. For this one, I'm not like, there's no, I think for the others, like, what's different about this girl? Because lately I've been on this trend of like acting in a way where I can concretely say the case is open or shut, right? It's like, this is the girl, this is what I'm going to do, and based on the response, I'm going to keep the case open or close it. And I've closed all my cases thus far. I have no open cases. And am I saying right now that this case is open? I don't know. I think what I'm saying is this case is, the open nature of this case is pending. So this case has yet to be opened. And because of that, I'm not concerned on closing it or not. It's just simply like something that exists. I like another simple joy of being single at this age and being who I am is that flirting is just so much fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all of the excitement and the rush with none of the responsibility and yeah, that's the only word for it, responsibility. Like flirting is just the absolute best. Oh, like even just now at Bojangles, there was this woman, probably in her 30s. I don't know. You never know. Hispanic lady, working on the biscuits behind the counter, like behind two counters. All I could see was like her face really through the stainless steel at Bojangles. And I caught her eye, and for some reason I just didn't look away, and she didn't either. And then she started smiling, and then I kind of smiled just a little bit. And then she looked away, and I was like, that was so awesome. Like, why was that so awesome, you know? So let's do this. If I was a woman, if I was a girl, right? If I was me right now but a girl, would I subscribe to the thought process of if he wanted to, he would? or like I don't chase, I attract. I would never go after any guy, and I would just wait for like my Prince Charming to come along. Would I? Quite possibly, yes. I think I would. I think as a guy, as me right now, I kind of expect all girls to think that way. Because I think it's the like healthiest and most constructive and productive thought process, like foundation for me to be in a relationship. If like the base foundation is like, this girl doesn't need me. This girl doesn't need me. And she's just kind of waiting around, waiting for me to make a mistake. I think that that's the best way for me to go about like my mission and my like search. Because that way I'm always looking in. I'm always looking in like, what can I do to be better? How can I change how can I improve? How can I convince this person that I am good for them and that they should keep me around? I think that's good because on like the opposition, on the other side of that line, you have a version of yourself that's always looking out, a version of yourself that thinks that, you know, you're perfect the way you are, you're in love with yourself. And when you find yourself in a relationship with another person, you're constantly just analyzing them and you're like, yeah, like I know all about this person and I know how to make them feel a certain way and I know how to make them happy. I know what makes them sad. And no, you don't. Just earlier this episode, we were talking about how the human brain is extremely complicated. So before you go and tell me that you've completely understood someone else's brain, how about you never come and tell me that. Never come and say, hey, Jack, I think I got it. Here's my notes, and there's this girl I've been seeing, and I think I've totally figured out her brain. Seriously, I've got the notes right here, and I think I've got it all mapped out. I know all of her emotions. I know all of her ticks and talks, and I can read her like a book. Here's my binder with all my findings. I'm going to burn that binder and shoot you in the face because you're an idiot and you don't listen to what I say. What I say is that, you know, like, yeah, you know, you can make a binder. Yeah, you know, you can write in the binder. But just know, if you do buy that first binder, you're going to be buying an infinite number of binders before you bring them to me and say, hey, I think I got a handle on this. And infinite is a lot, buddy. So, you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just like, why don't you try to understand your own brain before you say you've understood someone else's? Oh, that Bojangles is really kicking in. Really puts you in a great mood, fast food. You eat fast food and you just kind of feel like, so happy. I don't think people realize the effects that fast food has. I think they just think it tastes good. I think they just think that it tastes good and it's unhealthy for you. And once you eat it, that's over. But when you eat it, dude, for like the next couple hours, like it filters through your blood and your body and gets digested. And you just like feel calm and chill. It's very comparable to weed. It's very comparable to alcohol, for me at least. I'm ingesting a substance which trickles through my body and provides all these chemicals that create all these reactions that, you know, I don't know what they are, I don't know what they do, but I do know that every single time I intake, I feel calm. I feel chill. I feel ready for a nap. I feel at ease. And, you know, you got to note that. You got to note that and you got to think, maybe this isn't good for me. Maybe if I didn't have this, if I ruled this out of my life and I didn't have this quick access to happiness, I would be forced to do the hard things. And doing the hard things wouldn't be hard because I'd just be forced to do them. Let me put you in a scenario, right? Of my friend, my good friend, he goes to Virginia Military Academy. And every single morning, he's up at 5:30 a.m., right? And he's at roll call. Bang. Then he goes straight to the mess hall, eats a bunch of food, and then he's got classes, and then he does tons of pull-ups, push-ups, whatever, you know? And right when he finishes all that, I'm just now waking up. I know for a fact that if I was in Virginia Military Academy, I'd be waking up. When you're forced to do something, you're forced to do it. And forcing yourself to do something is much more intricate and elaborate than being forced by external factors. Like, for example, I have a watch in my room that I wore on an Outward Bound expedition about I don't know how many years ago. And stay with me here. At 3:16 in the morning, it beeps. An alarm goes off. It goes beep 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 beep. Beep 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 beep. Every morning, exactly that. And if I'm awake, I hear it. And I think every single time when I do hear it of why that alarm got set. We had to wake up that early to make it to the top of this mountain by sunrise. Or I think before sunrise, because when the sun did rise, it would be too hot. So, I still have the watch. I still listen to the alarm. But it's like, it's a reminder of the reason it got set and the reason I was able to wake up. It's because I had to. There was no other option. There was no other way. So yeah, so you know. Do you know? 9 minutes left in the episode. You know, this is just another episode from episode. If nothing else, look. If nothing else, I need to go to coffee shops and the rock climbing wall and the gym so that I can talk more about girls to you, because that will make this go by faster. It will make it easier for me to do this. It will likely keep you more engaged. I'm sure there's at least one of you out there that likes when I talk about girls and you get kind of excited, like, oh, this is interesting. Like, he's just like me. You know, like, that's awesome. That's the whole reason I do it. And I am. It's true. I'm just like you. But if I just stay at work, like this time tomorrow, I'm not going to have any girls to talk about. I'm not going to have any girls to talk about. Do 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 do. Manamana do 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 do. Manamana do 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 do. Can I say something really embarrassing to end this episode off? I still think about a girl I still think about a girl from so long ago, and I'm really embarrassed by it. You know what I mean? I am. I'm really embarrassed by it. It was Valentine's Day, and I don't have Instagram on my phone, but I have it on my computer, and sometimes I swipe through the stories, I guess. And I remember Valentine's Day came and went, and I didn't remember seeing any picture of her with her boyfriend. And I was like, could they have broken up? What does it matter, dude? It doesn't matter. That's so embarrassing for me to think. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are not going to reach out to her online. You are not, you are not going to call her. You're not going to text her. You're not going to like anything, comment on anything. I mean, you shouldn't even be viewing anything. So it's like, on the one hand, I kind of hope that like something did get posted and I just didn't see it, because that would be a win. That means that like I didn't stumble across it. And that's just a W, because that means that like I've come to a place where Instagram's algorithm doesn't even think I'd care about it. And I don't. I don't want it to be shown to me. So yeah. Yeah. Never go back to something that's over. Ever. Never. Ever. If it's over, it's over. Do not dig up. Do not dig up a, what are those things called? A coffin. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. It's disrespectful to the body or bodies that are lying in there. I mean, you can think of texting an ex like digging up a coffin where two people are buried. You know? I often say when a girl breaks up with you, it's like she died. And that's really fucking hard, man. It's really hard. I say that to guys, and I've said it to myself, because I think that makes it sort of like easy to begin the process of mourning, or like at least understand how you're supposed to feel and what's supposed to happen. She's dead, bro. She's dead. She died. Yeah, she's alive. I know she didn't really die, but like for all intents and purposes, she fucking died. You ever dealt with death? Well, you're dealing with it, so take a deep breath and realize that it's over forever. And everything that was said and done is now encased in epoxy and left in the past. But I want to add to that. So say she died, right? And she's now in her coffin, buried deep beneath. So is that version of you. You are now buried with her. And you guys are deep underground. The ceremony's over. The ceremony happens. The ceremony like is your last words to one another. Like you might, I don't know. It's tricky. Sometimes I see things like people run into their exes on the street. I would hate that. I'm so grateful for it to have been a year now, and I have not seen my ex-girlfriend in public. I'm so grateful, because I know it would just ruin it would ruin my day. It would absolutely ruin my day, and it would totally ruin hers too. Because that's like that's like one step up from the shit my phone does, where all of a sudden it says, hey, check out what you were doing this time last year. And it's like a collage with music added and like of all the photos of her. And I'm like, bro, really, phone? You gonna do this to me right now? You gonna do this to me? It's just a bunch of pictures of her. Really? I did not need this right now. So like if I ran into her at a gas station or whatever, and like she come up to me and was like, hey, good to see you, hope you're well, or whatever, that would be like, damn. Really? Like, I did not need that right now. But that's just part of it. And I'm sure, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we run into one another. I'm not going to say I'm ready, but I do believe that I'll be okay once it happens and it's all over with. I'm someone that struggles with the idea of closure. Like, I never really understand when something's over. So I've been working on that. Like I said earlier, I've been closing cases, right? I've been practicing the idea of shutting a book. And I think that's a good skill to have to an extent. But I think I need to stop opening books that have a high likelihood of being closed. I think I need to start reading the books that get shoved in my face. Because it's not often someone shoves a book in your face, if you get what I'm saying. So when it happens, you should really read the first chapter. And be aware. If you're mid-read right now, if you're halfway through a book, it feels like the book's infinite. But if you've read a couple chapters by this point, be aware, right? Be kind of aware of how it is that you ended up reading the first words. Like, were you obsessed with this book? Like, did you drive state to state looking for this book in bookstores? When you finally found it, you freaked out, had the best day ever, and like, when you brought the book home, you put a seatbelt on the passenger seat of your car, and like, you read it so carefully and patiently and spaced it out and loved the book. Or was it the polar opposite, where the book was shoved in your face, like, you have to read this book. You gotta read this book. Please read this book. Read it, please read it. So you read it for that reason. Or is it a mix in between? Try and understand which way it happened. And based on that, you're kind of just doing self-assessment. And self-assessment, it's love, man. If you're assessing yourself, am I good enough? Is what I'm doing right? You are. At least for me. That's how I know I'm totally in love. I am totally in love. So, with that right there, I am going to end this episode. I will, like always, see you tomorrow. I appreciate you so much for watching. I'm going to go have a pretty boring shift at work, so... Adios.